Good morrow, fellow humans. My name is Sean and I am obsessed with infinity. So join me as I attempt to unpick the realities of what is. So you've taken a moment for yourself, a pause in the crazy. Well, firstly, let me just say, kudos on your escape. So how long do we have together? A few sentences? A few minutes maybe? I guess since time is of the essence, it's best we not waste it with pleasantries. So let me instead start by saying this. There is infinity within every finite measure. For this is a cosmos that denies all prophecy of hierarchy, a unified embrace of all that ever was, is, shall or shan't be, omitting not even the categorical antithesis that is infinite nothing herself. It is a wholeness whose infinite is of a qualitative oneness. And this is what we are. Right. So, how many are still with me? I'm sure that's put a few listeners off. It's always fun to see how people react to that sort of waffle, how they instantaneously deflect and scatter, regroup upon yet another declaration of opinion. But what about you? How did you react? Perhaps the nerve struck resulted in an instinctive pose of defence, leaving you now standing at the ready with tripped bullshit alarm. Or maybe even flushed with the intent of a hearty, righteous debate. Or perhaps your defensive pose just resulted from the nonplussed assumption that we're merely dealing with the rehashing of old news, preaching to the choir, as it were. Or did you fall into that other camp, where the only reaction was a happy twinge of curiosity? It's a healthy response, though one more often followed by a relatively quick retake on the still unresolved matter as to whether I might ever be able to justify such a madcap opening ramble. Regardless, no matter who you are or how you prefer your waffle, I now welcome you wholeheartedly to this, our now shared pause in the crazy. To the doubters, sideliners, converted, curious and preachers alike, I humbly invite you all. Though I should point out that with this invitation, I don't intend on offering my listeners the usual pleasant or passive page-turner, if even I could. Because for the most part, what I intend to discuss is you, and all that it means to be you. And so for that reason, I sincerely encourage you to join the conversation, to consider your own mind, to both contemplate and challenge the numerous concepts that we will come across as together we muddle our way through the many great timeless puzzles that this audacious universe has had the gall to throw at us during our own short stints upon this beautifully insignificant planet. It will be a discussion intended to take us as far down the rabbit hole as we can possibly go, past the pinnacles of hard-sought knowledge, towards the outermost limits of language itself, where upon some distant plateau shall we aim to finally sit, dangle our feet over the edge and just begin wondering at the hesitant shadows that lay cast amid the slowly parting mists of our understanding. And it shall be here, upon these misty shorelines, where you and I will be encouraged to challenge our own philosophies. Not for the purpose of tearing them down, but for the purpose of allowing them to grow. Since it's only through the practice of stepping back and re-examining our own positions that we can ever hope to uncover the invisible dangers which, when left unchallenged, can leave us feeling lost, alone, and separated from so much of the world that surrounds us. I'm sure there are many who, in this age of tech and instant communication, will consider the philosopher a somewhat outdated occupation. As Stephen Hawking so bluntly put it, philosophy is dead. Because in contrast to the exciting, profitable and world-changing influence of science, philosophy can more often be pigeonholed as a more or less frivolous pursuit, reserved for the languishing student still seeking their way in a wider world, or for the self-important podcaster forever screaming into the wind, these being some of my favourite people. Though what this is failing to appreciate is that as our scientific fields have been expanding, exponentially opening doors in our collective understanding, the global community of philosophers have hardly found themselves relegated to the pages of history. On the contrary, because due to this accelerated progress, philosophers have, if anything, only had their responsibilities compounded. But as it has been with so many fields of expertise, as the breadth of knowledge becomes so fantastically vast, have the once broad pools of inquiry inevitably required some element of compartmentalisation, which in most cases has led to the replacement of the traditional philosopher as to the traditional scientist, with the ever-diversifying role of the modern-day specialist. For example, where certain topics might have once been considered the sole responsibility of the metaphysical philosopher, those who ponder the nature of reality, those various avenues of thought have now been compartmentalised into the tasks that are set before the theoretical physicist, the cosmologist, the neurobiologist, and those working in AI or consciousness studies. And so what becomes clear is that science has not so much devoured philosophy, rather it has specialised it. But this is nothing new, since science is itself a child of philosophy, given that it was the formulation set down by Aristotle that enabled science to attain its most robust foundations. And so this entwining has always been present, because each school shares the same prerequisite of having to remain conversant with the boundary-pushing conversations of the day. It's just that in the 21st century, for philosophy to retain its relevance, it must now ride upon an inexhaustible torrent of development and discovery. This is why, rather than flying under its own flag, modern philosophical discourse is more often found entwined within those various investigative fields, as they each seek to look past their borders. The role of the futurist is just another example where the hallmarks of philosophy are again present, as they seek to interpret what greater influence the technological revolution is having on the world at large, and equally within the domains of animal rights, biotechnologies, and even human augmentation, the philosophical voice of ethics is playing its part in ensuring that the seemingly unbounded march of progress is restrained by at least some portion of insight. But those who do fly under the flag of philosophy are more than aware of the dangers in such rampant compartmentalisation, as when it comes to seeking the answers to those less tangible generalities, such as seeking a philosophy to live by, it's clear that the insight inevitably needed will not be that of the specialist, but that which is relevant to a much broader context. And so it is in stark contrast to the role of the modern scientist and the strict niches of the specialist that philosophy for philosophy's sake must remain distinct and regarded important as the all-rounder, the puzzle master, the questioner, or as defined by its original Pythagorean definition, simply as the lover of wisdom. Further, it is only through the combining of these focused efforts in a bias-aware philosophical manner that we can now start to appreciate the revelations of this greater holistic tapestry, a perspective brought about through a healthy dose of curiosity and a tendency to indulge in a wide variety of investigative fields. Fields such as astronomy, quantum physics, biology, artificial intelligence, neuroscience, the social sciences, history, and of course, philosophy itself. For when we step back and appreciate all of this emerging data as a unified whole, what we begin to see is a brave, complex and detailed picture, one which, like never before, hints at the truths that lay hidden behind experience. And this is where you, myself, and both the philosophers and scientists of this modern world currently find themselves. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed the first episode of Infinite Now. It's going to be an ongoing series that I put out every single week. Most of the ideas that are in these series are going to be taken from a long-term project that I've been working on, about 5 years on a manuscript, which is, getting there. But the ideas are going to be shared with you guys, so if you can give me your thoughts and we can start a bit of a conversation on it, that would be great. I'll give you more updates as we go along, but I'll see you next week. Bye.